Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you guys once again for joining the 9 Innings podcast hosted by yours truly, Kevin Thompson, founder and CEO of 9I Capital Group, RIA. Thank you guys for joining us. As I always say, subscribe to this channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB the CFP, live on Apple Books and Amazon. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@9icapitalgroup.com. If you have any questions, you can also go to the website at www.9icapitalgroup.com. Send us your questions, comments, or concerns. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, and engage. And today we have another one on the call, another great interview. Dr. Preston Cherry. Dr. Preston Cherry of the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. We're talking all things finance today. Let's get it. We have Dr. Preston D. Cherry on the line today here on the 9 Innings podcast. Dr. Cherry, how are you doing today, kind sir?
Man, I'm doing well, Kevin. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, so I gotta read your bio, man, because it's pretty impressive. First and foremost, I want to read a little bit about you're a financial planner, founder, and president. And today I'm gonna say it's Founders Day because we've been having great interviews with Black entrepreneurs like ourselves. Especially, of course, it's Black History Month. And the fact that what we're doing and what we're contributing, and not just on a basketball court or on a baseball field like I was on a baseball field or on a football field. I mean, we're doing great things in, the boardroom, in the classroom. So this is powerful. This is a powerful conversation today. You're a professor, researcher, and of course, you're a podcast host like myself. But one of the things I found funny was, you're a pretty damn cool uncle, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, so my niece thinks so. So yeah.
Yeah, man. You're the head of the financial planning program at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and director of Charles Schwab Foundation of Center for Financial Wellness at the University of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hey, I'm just glad to have you. I understand you also have your own financial planning firm. So let's just start there. Concurrent financial planning. Like, how do you find time in a day to do all the stuff academic wise and then ultimately still run your own financial planning office?
Oh, wow. First of all, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it. There's not enough time in a day to be honest with you. Like Charles, to be honest with you, there's really not much time in there. But, I enjoy both passions. And I think that that's what you need is to have that drive to like what you do, because I think I was talking to a couple of people the other day, and you've probably had this yourself, which is, there's more process days, Kevin, than there is payoff days.
Yes.
So I'm tired of the mug most days.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm thankful and I have gratitude for the process, because I'm tired doing what I have the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes I wouldn't recommend it. Some people ask me, should you do both? And I'm like, well, most of the time, no. But however, if you do have the opportunity and the passion to do both, then, it's a why not. Go ahead, pursue it, and enjoy the process. You're going to be tired, but you're going to be impacting some people too, along with maximizing your own livelihood.
Yeah, because your transition from the academic side of things, I mean, I would assume that you can transfer that knowledge over to the financial planning side of things, even though it's a little bit different in actually running a business versus being an academic. But the actual process in the financial planning scheme of things, you already have that because you have the academia behind you. So it may be a little bit simpler, but the actual business side of things is vastly different.
Right. Of course. Yeah. So you're hitting it right on the head is if you have one asset, which is, yourself or whatever your talent is, and you can multiply that far as maybe a revenue stream or something like that, then, by all means, if you have the capacity.
Yeah.
So, all day.
Yeah. So, man, I also saw that you are an advisor specialty coach. I am with the Carson Coaching group right now. I do have a Carson coach. I was advised to do that by one of my mentors who helped me launch my RIA, which I launched back in January. So I partake in the Carson Coaching, and I saw your face on there a couple of days ago. I was like, oh, my man, Dr. Cherry is in the program. So talk to me a little bit about how that came about.
Well, I got some good friends over at Carson, so we go back, and that goes back to relationship building, Kevin. That's just par for the course.
Yeah,
and that's another place to express some gratitude. Over the years, you talk about assets.
Yeah,
right. It's your network is sometimes your net worth.
Yeah,
right. Is who you surround yourself with.
100%.
And over the years, I've developed some good relationships with couple of folks over there, Jamie Hopkins, and then a couple other folks. And I serve on the FinServe Foundation, which is a part of the Carson Group, and we do some things for some young people to try to get in the profession. So anyway, that's how I got aligned with Carson Group a few years ago. Is those relationships, and we were like, they said, Preston, you're pretty good at giving some advice on how to build some firms. They liked what I had to offer, and they were like, You can offer some of that to help some other people grow as well. So how about we partner in some areas? So
awesome, man. Awesome. So I noticed you have a lot of acronyms behind your name. You have the AFC, CFT, and of course the coveted, the highly coveted CFP. Tell me about you attaining the CFP. Did you attain it while you were working in academia? Because I know it's transferable, or did you do it after the fact that after you got your doctorate? Did you do it after?
Okay. All right. So a funny story about that is that I started my CFP journey, my financial planning profession journey back in 2005.
Okay.
All right. So I started cutting my teeth in financial services, right, and retail banking. So I started as a teller, did all the stuff inside the bank, all that, this, that, and the other. Then I went into like investment operations, swapping paper and all this other stuff, the stamping paper, they call them repapering projects, checking by risk tolerance and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's where I got my Series 7. So then I went to grad school, got my master's in financial planning.
Okay.
All right. And then when I came out of grad school, then I got my first financial planning gig.
Yeah.
All right. That was a junior financial planner. So why I say all that is because I didn't get my CFP then, but I've been getting experience since then.
Yeah. Right? You didn't get it then, but you were getting it then. You know what I mean?
Right. All that. Right. And I managed money over the years, this, that, and the other. So I'm fast forwarding through a lot. So what's the funny part? Well, 2016, I was transitioning from another part of the financial services career as a wholesaler, and I was meeting advisors and learning about their practice and see how I could help them with some of their investment strategies, right? And so I wanted to transition back in closer to the financial planning process. So the company I was with went through some changes and everything like that. They were like, "Oh, okay, well, we're about to do these sweeping layoffs, all right?" And I had turned in a letter of demands, all right, and they were like, "Well, this brother, he's the first one to go,"
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But that company actually was supportive through some of my life challenges, so I appreciate that company as also. All right, but at that time I was like, okay, well, I want to take my CFP.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the fourth time, Kevin, that I was taking my CFP. I had taken it 3 other times.
Okay.
All right. Well, the first time I took it cold a few years prior, and I arrogantly took it in 2007, I think it was, right after I finished my grad school. Yeah. And I was like, shoot, I'm gonna pass this bad boy.
Yeah.
And hell no, man, I failed that mug miserably.
That's hilarious.
Then the second time, I think I was probably just I think I studied a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. And then, I think I passed. I think I failed just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so I didn't pass in there either.
Yeah.
The third time I was making too much money.
Yeah.
So I didn't dedicate. I studied just enough, and I didn't make it just enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that fourth time, the funny part of it is, I was like, look, I want to transition to the life that you see I'm living now.
Yeah.
And I said, I got one more in me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I'm a 4-time go arounder for those people that want to persist in life and go after it. It wasn't ever about ability, Kevin, but it was about the timing and how I wanted to dedicate myself and align my goals with what I wanted to do.
Yeah, man. The CFP, shout out to those who have it. As we both know, so we're about to get into some financial topics here in a second, but as you both know, or as we all know, there's about 1,900 CFPs. You're talking to 0.1% of them right now, which is a bad thing. I mean, 0.1% of the CFPs in America that are African American, quote unquote, are on this call right now. So,
right.
So there you have it. But yeah, man, I appreciate you talking today, man. I appreciate learning a little bit about you. And then I just want to kind of just talk about some financial topics that are kind of out there, especially in our sphere. And one just being, interest rates are going up. You know that the economy is different for different individuals. And I know you study this, so I know it's on your right in the front of your brain right now. So, in regards to interest rates and what's going on with the economy, like from your knowledge base, do you feel that interest rates being elevated for a longer period of time may impact us a little bit more? Or are you guys seeing anything in that world where it's actually slowing inflation? Because as we get the inflation numbers coming down, those numbers aren't coming down very rapidly. Like today, the inflation numbers came down and it was like 6.5 and it was 6.6 year over year. So it's like from your academic background and from what you're seeing, what is your expert opinion on all of that?
Well, I would say that, the Fed is a little bit reactionary, but they're also trying to do things to, or use their tools in their toolbox in order to, kind of stem things that are coming ahead. Yeah. Right. So we can only use what's been going on historically, but at the same time, we have the data that's right, historically, but also right in front of us. We also know what we don't want. Yes. Going forward. Yes. We can't continue some of the things and some of the inputs that are in the economic cycle. Yeah. Right. The economic cycles are ebb and flows. Yeah. Now, we can't deny that economic cycles, political cycles, but particularly, economic cycles, market cycles don't affect people differently. They do. And we have to be mindful of that. But also that said, economic cycles are expected, and you have policy, right? You have policy, tax policy, congressional policy. You have market conditions. You have unexpected events that you cannot control. We had COVID, all of this, global strain, war, this, that, and the other. So you're going to have all of these culminations events that have ups and downs in the economic cycle. All of that coming together has pushed these inflation numbers up, and it's been hitting our pockets. Yes. So, and along with elongated economic policy that we had to recover from the financial crisis, right, for a whole decade, which folks have done fairly well over a decade, which people have short memories from, kind of like recency bias. Yeah. It's like, what do we remember last? Well, if we check our portfolios or how we've been doing over the last decade because of, monetary easing, then everyone's been doing fairly well. It doesn't feel well the last couple of years with COVID, and then also this recent, last year, that doesn't feel well. But there needs to be a natural adjustment. So with the interest rate increasing, with the Fed, to put a bow on your question, is we know when I say we, the economy and the Fed, we know what we can't handle too much more of going forward. Yeah. So we're going to have to dial it back some in order to have a corrective measure, so we can have a healthier environment moving forward.
So I'm glad you said all of that, and you said one thing that stuck out to me was that the demographics and like the changes, like certain people, certain individuals, certain communities are getting hit harder than others. So, and let's relax a little bit. You and I are about to relax, have a good conversation, right? So
let's chop it.
Um, is it me, or is it one of those things where like the black community or the communities of color or seem like they're always the ones, we're always the ones that are lagging in regards to the highest unemployment rates, the last to come out, it's always something like we're always behind. Like, what is that? Like, I get tired of seeing those numbers, man. Like, I see them everywhere, but why is that? What, from your expert opinion, because you're an academic. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of catching up to do, systemically, institutionally, and things of this nature. So, those that were under-resourced, under accessed, and under elevated over a long period of time, then it comes back to who has enough resources over time in order to handle these shock events over time. Because life is a law of averages, and do we, meaning the human beings that are in existence, do we have enough resources? Are we fortunate enough to have enough resources to be able to withstand these ebbs and flows of economic market cycles and things that happen to us? And so for those that are under resourced, underemployed, under accessed, under elevated, and this, that, and the other for a long period of times, then these shocks do cause greater downturns. And then also it's harder to recover, So what is needed is, a couple of things. Well, one, we need a lot more, run rate, so to speak. So we need a lot more run rate for us when we're getting these good jobs. We have nice businesses, we have good education, we have good access. We need 10, 15 years of uninterrupted, stability and growth, and being able to grow ourselves, and this, that, and the other. And this is for everybody, mind you. For particularly those that need a good run rate. So when these times do come, we can withstand a little more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. I mean, I consistently get numbers where the unemployment rate is twice as much as other individuals, or you hear things like, oh, well, certain banks have been fined billions of dollars because they're no longer they denied loans for set.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's facts. Listen, Kevin, I mean, if we're keeping it 100. I mean, there's no denying that the isms are out there. All right, you got you got institutionalism, genderism, racism, you got a lot of the isms out there. That happen. And yes, you hear the headlines, and they're factual. They're undeniable. You have who gets slaves, classism, which doesn't. You have religiosity, isms, all of that. So you have all these isms to say who gets. It's almost like a math, to make a comparison, mathematical order of operation, who's getting, laid off first, so to speak, who, this, that, and the other. And there's been all this data over the years that says who's getting affected more, as you say, right. So the system seemingly, affects all these groups of people, repeatedly in these manners, and that's that is a shame. On the flip side of that is that we can prepare ourselves, and this is just across the board. We can, when we do our plug days, it's not everyone. When we do have opportunities, when we are in stages of stability, when we do have these access and these periods where we can grow ourselves, we can be mindful Although I'm not saying, hey, listen, it's all about bootstrapping, but at the same time, when we do have these periods of stability, then we can be mindful and say, okay, let's prepare ourselves for growth and protection for when these things do happen, then we can survive and also move around and recover quickly.
Absolutely. And of course, there was a famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, yes, we would love to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, but it's tough to use your bootstraps when you're a bootless man. Right. So
right.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right on that. So, man, hey, you listen to the 90s podcast, Dr. Cherry of University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, head of financial planning program. So appreciate you having you, man. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions because, again, we like to keep these short. We don't want to go out 30, 40, 50 minutes unless you want to have a couple of drinks or something like that. Maybe have a cigar or something like that. So I always like to have a financial planning concept on the show. So in your opinion, if you had one client, you had a client, you said, we're going to start here. This is the most important thing. Because I have my own personal opinion on this, but this is the most important thing you need to do. What one thing would you teach an individual that they need to start doing?
Yes, I would say first is aligning, connecting with what you do want to do and what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I know there's other things that you can start with, like it comes right after it, saving, putting money to the side, pay yourself, budgeting, spending plan, investing, income to assets, right? All of these fundamental concept of delayed gratification, healthy relationships with spending. There's nothing wrong with spending as long as it's in your capacity. I can go on and on. All right. I can go on. That list is long. All right. Also, when you do have money, it's like, okay, what's next? Do you want to get into, at what stage do you get to the next wealth building, strategy? And when do you do it? Is everybody wants to get into these complexity, based strategies. All right. Whatever it may be, but that ain't time yet. Yeah. Right. Get your first 100, get your first 200, get your first 300, then we can get your first, whatever it may be. Yeah. Then we can get into something else. So to answer your question, when you connect, when you figure out what you do want to do and what you don't want to do anymore, then it aligns what your life wants to be. And then it directs what your money is supposed to be doing or wants to be doing.
I like that.
And then you get into all that laundry list of what it makes more sense, and it makes more sense quicker.
Well, my last question for you. So you said complexity. Like, why does it have to be so complex? Like, in my humble opinion, save 15, 20% of your gross income, and depending on where you are, your age,
your life stage, and all your resources,
save that. Then get 6 months, I say a year's worth of income on your balance sheet.
Depends on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And then ultimately get a diversified portfolio of low-cost funds, diversify it. And rebalance it.
You can do a couple of things. I mean, you can get into, if you want to buy income producing assets, or as far as more income, instead of getting dividends kicked off in your portfolio, if you want to buy a storage unit, if you want to do that, if you want to get into rental property, and if you don't want to manage rental property, you can get into a indirect, commercial real estate type of thing,
management companies, things like that.
All of that. So you can do things that you can get in concentrated wealth if you like. If you get into a stage where you have some assets and you say, okay, well, I want to go to the next stage and have concentrated wealth, take a little bit of risk, and maybe quote unquote leverage myself, my expertise, and start a business, but that comes with its own risks. All right. You can venture capital if you'd like, so once you get to a stage or a level of wealth, okay, what if you would like to go further, then you can choose to do that, or you can stay consistent over time. And while you're over when you have more cash flow, well, you can just place more cash flow into what you're already doing and get to financial independence that way. Instead of 30 years, you can cut that down to 20.
Absolutely.
So it just depends on what your appetite is for risk, what your appetite is for extra work. Because whether people believe it or not, additional incomes. And why don't you just increase your income? It's some of this stuff is passive. Oh, hell no, some of this stuff ain't passive. You got to do the work.
I love these conversations, man. Cause I know we started with we got a real talk in there. Now we're talking financial planning. Plug your company real quick. Concurrent Financial Planning. Like what's y'all's overall philosophy in regards to your financial planning process?
Well, you heard some of it, which is we talk about the human side of money. We want to learn who people are, what their experiences were and are with money, and going forward. What is your life's design? We want you to we want you to discover what your version is of financial freedom. What are your aspirations? And once you understand that, we want to help you understand that, and then help you along with the strategies and the methods in order to go about that over your lifetime to make that happen. So
that's awesome, man. And again, the reason why we can have these conversations is because the ocean's big, and we can all play in the same ocean, and there's money to be made out there. There's relationships to be had, and we're not crabs in a barrel, man. So I appreciate you coming on today, man. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Cherry. Appreciate you, man. This is a powerful conversation too. African-American individuals, CFPs, 0.1%. CFP planet for the African-American individuals out there. There's the CFPs, talking to them right now. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking that CFP the fourth time. We needed that, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Appreciate you having me, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man. And hey, good luck, man. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Love you.
Once again, we'd like to thank Dr. Preston Cherry for joining us for the call today, talking money, talking demographics, having a deep conversation during this Black History Month with two African-American entrepreneurs. Very, very powerful, both CFPs. I hope you enjoyed that. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, and engage. If you have questions, feel free to email us at info@9icapitalgroup.com or go to the website at www.9icapitalgroup.com. Schedule an appointment. As you know, we appreciate your time. We appreciate the subscriber growth. Hit that subscriber button. We want to provide you guys with the most education possible. So please let this voice be heard. Thank you. Enjoy the day. See you next week.